from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, prepping for new tariffs and the potential impacts on ag. McDonald's takes its Golden Arches green in agribusiness, cattle markets.
And then once we get into June, July, August, we're really going to have a much better supply base to work with, and we're going to be dealing with much lower prices.
Celebrating this thing of ours.
Agriculture is the essence of America.
And not fearmongers, cheesemongers in Wisconsin.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. While the administration honored farmers in the ag industry on Tuesday for National Ag Day, there are fresh concerns about the impact of trade policies at the farm gate. Those concerns stemming from new reports the administration is preparing fresh tariffs against China. Between $30 and $60 billion worth of tariffs could be imposed on Chinese products in response to concerns about intellectual property theft and forced technology transfers. Now, the tariffs could be announced as Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross is scheduled to testify before the House Ways and Means Committee on Thursday. Farm groups say all of these policy moves have the potential to impact ag.
Tariffs matter. They can hurt. So anytime there's an issue out there where people are very concerned about, where other countries might react, we have to be concerned about it. And we have to try to do our best to make sure that either retaliation doesn't happen or we can somehow keep working to make sure it goes away.
Rocky trade matters between the U.S. and China are nothing new. Before the steel and aluminum tariffs were even announced, China had already launched an investigation into U.S. sorghum. China accusing the U.S. of unfairly dumping grain sorghum in their country. Tyne Morgan takes a closer look at those allegations.
The ambivalent relationship with China is nothing new. Earlier this year, China launched an anti-dumping and anti-subsidy investigation into U.S. sorghum imports, a case that National Sorghum Producer CEO Tim Lust says doesn't stand on solid ground.
We've been very clear that we've had a great relationship with our Chinese buyers. This case was not initiated by our customers. And certainly we want a fair record and a fair case to move forward.
But the move initially proving to be a big blow to U.S. sorghum prices, as China is U.S. sorghum's top buyer.
China's actions on grain sorghum certainly has put a shockwave into the market.
Suderman says as shipments to China have remained fairly strong, there's still doubt hanging over the market, including the motive behind China's case.
Everything China does is to protect China, and they have a huge reserve of corn that they're trying to get rid of. Now they're doing that, but not fast enough. That corn is going out of condition from all indications we can find. And with U.S. grain sorghum going into China, that's displacing corn that they'd like to see going into the feed stream, into the ethanol plants.
Lust says while it's a battle that's not going away, ultimately costing the association time and money, he encouraged producers to focus on the bright side.
I think obviously the fear of the unknown is significant, and there is a lot of that going on right now, but I just want to reassure growers that there's still a lot of positives happening in this industry.
While ag groups understand the importance of a major buyer like China, the national wheat growers supporting the administration's World Trade Organization case against China.
They are currently subsidizing their domestic wheat growers at exchange rate would roughly be about $10.40 a bushel. That is costing the U.S. wheat grower about $640 million in lost revenue a year.
Gould wants to protect free trade, becoming vocal about the current administration's actions, possibly losing ground in the world trade arena.
My biggest concern, though, is we have lost some of our leverage and ability to negotiate because we left the agreement, and now there is uncertainty out there in the international arena of if the U.S. comes back and re-engages and doesn't get exactly what they want, are we going to pull back out again?
While it's a balancing act, it's adding more uncertainty to a trade battle that seems to be gaining strength. Reporting for Ag Day, I'm Tyne Morgan.
Meanwhile, the European Union and U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross are meeting in Washington this week to consider a potential tariff exemption, the EU seeking more clarity on the criteria for which such an exemption could be granted. EU diplomats say the criteria to get that exemption has been left purposely vague. Any EU exemption to the tariffs must be finalized by Thursday at the latest, as the tariffs take effect Friday. Meanwhile, an omnibus spending bill slated for this week in Congress. One of the issues expected to be addressed, the 199A grain glitch that currently gives farmers and ranchers incentives to sell their products to agricultural cooperatives over other types of businesses. A first vote could happen as early as today. The Golden Arches say they're going green, and it's likely to impact beef producers in the coming years. McDonald's announcing plans to partner with franchisees and suppliers in hopes of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 36%, and it wants to meet that goal by the year 2030. Now, it estimates that it would cut about 150 million metric tons of greenhouse gases. That's the equivalent of taking 32 million passenger cars off the road for an entire year. I spoke with Drover's editor Greg Henderson earlier about the plan. He says it's based on a model from Canada, and U.S. producers should expect changes.
The United States is already a member of the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. There's sustainability projects in the works now. Obviously, what McDonald's did in Canada, they're going to bring to the United States. This is a much bigger market than the Canadian market. McDonald's is a beef company. They sell 75 hamburgers a second. So it's in their best interest to provide their customers what they want, and right now they say they want sustainable beef.
As we look at this process, have we gotten any feedback from the U.S. industry on whether they're happy to do this? Is getting paid to be a part of this enough incentive?
As this project moves forward, it looks like that sustainability, whether we agree with that word or how that word is defined, is something that companies such as McDonald's and other food restaurants, food companies are going to demand. So it will be a slow process probably in the United States, probably be some pushback from producers.
Henderson says the Canadian beef industry had roughly 2,000 cattle producers involved. Cargill is paying $10 per head for being verified as sustainable. Henderson expects something similar in the U.S. over the next couple of years. The state of Mississippi's agriculture commissioner is leaving that post to fill a Senate vacancy in Washington. Cindy Hyde-Smith has been ag commissioner since 2011. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant appointed Hyde-Smith to fill the vacant Senate seat that was created by the retirement of Senator Thad Cochran. Cochran announced his retirement earlier this month, blaming health issues. His last day is April 1st. Spring has sprung, but it sure doesn't feel like it in many parts of the country. Mike Hoffman has details in today's Crop Comments. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. A sure sign of spring has sprung. Grass fires in the Midwest following a long, dry winter, at least in some areas. This took place over the weekend in the northern Illinois county of Ogle. It appears the landowner was doing a burn down on some farmland, but it burned past the fence line and approached the highway. Serves as a reminder how quickly intentionally set fires can burn out of control. And it may be the second day of spring, but Matt Nelson from northeastern Nebraska says the season started out with snow. He says no field work is getting done today as he takes hay out for his cattle. And taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see most of the areas are going to be in the east today with that storm system still kind of lingering, especially into Georgia and South Carolina later. It'll become windier in the west as we head through the late afternoon hours, and then especially during the day tomorrow. Still windy in the far northeast tomorrow morning as well, but boy, does it become windy. A large part of the western states with some breezy conditions, southern plains in the southeast as well. We'll have your forecast coming up, but first here are some hometown temps.
Save time each day and receive the latest market prices directly to your cell phone with market updates. It makes it effortless to stay aware of shifting market prices. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
After the break, the outlook for cattle markets with analyst Joe Vaklovic. And there are fearmongers, warmongers, there's even cheesemongers. You can probably guess what they're trying to stir up. Details as we head in the country to Wisconsin. Agribusiness commodities seeing a bit of a bounce during the trading session Tuesday. Let's see where things close in the floor of the CME.
The corn market traded both sides of unchanged here on Tuesday in a fairly quiet session after a big sell-off on Monday. We've seen a little bit of a correction lower. As a matter of fact, the market has retraced half of its gains that were posted from the mid-January low up into the March high. So a little bit of selling pressure here recently. Funds had been very, very heavily long the market as of last week, so perhaps a little bit of fund liquidation. Now, underneath the market, I believe we've got some very strong demand. We've seen export demand flourish here as of late. The ethanol grind has been pretty strong. We've got some larger livestock numbers in this country, which should help feed demand. So overall, I think the market should continue to be supported on breaks, just given a stronger demand base than we had anticipated.
The cattle markets are preparing for the summer grilling season. So what's in store for prices? Tyne Morgan asked that question from the Agribusiness Desk.
Here now with Joe Vaclavic of Standard Grain. Joe, this cattle market, I mean, when you look at the fundamentals of it, we know that we've had a growing cattle herd. It's not new. We've been reporting on it.
Old news.
I mean, old news. This is the same story. We've seen this cattle herd grow. At the same time, demand has been really impressive, and we've seen that balance. But do you think we're getting to that tipping point where maybe we do have too much supply on our hands?
The futures at this point are pointing to exactly that. They're pointing to a deal where, you know, very, very short term here, talking maybe the next 2 weeks, we're tight in cash cattle. But the futures are telling you that things are going to loosen up after that. And then once we get into June, July, August, we're really going to have a much better supply base to work with, and we're going to be dealing with much lower prices. That's what the futures board is telling us. Now, we've been told this story before, and we've ultimately seen cash prices, you know, shoot right back into the upper 120s. So is this the time where this walled beef, as some people have put it, really comes back to bite us? That is the million-dollar question. For the moment, the futures say yes, but it's not a guarantee.
Why have we seen such strong cash prices out there?
Well, demand's been good. If you look at the run that we've seen in the boxed beef market recently, it's been really impressive. We had a streak that spanned several weeks where choice boxes were stuck in this range from 200 up to 210, which wasn't a terrible price, but we were just kind of range bound for a while. Now we're up into the mid 220s, and we've seen a nice run higher, and we've stabilized at those levels. So the sales on the export front, just demand for beef in general, has been very good.
So you think right now these prices that we have today favorable compared to what we could have in the coming months?
Well, the futures board tells you that we're going to be a lot cheaper. I mean, the June and August futures are at such a massive discount to the nearbys. That's exactly what the market's telling them.
All right, thanks, Joe. We appreciate it. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back with a check of weather.
For more information about Standard Grain and its services, call Joe at 312-462-4438.
Welcome back to AgDay. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman looking at this storm working its way up the East Coast. And Mike, what, another nor'easter?
I suppose the fourth one, yeah. It's been just that pattern we've settled into this year, and that storm's going to cause some big snows in places once again. And this lingering piece of energy back in the eastern Ohio Valley going to cause some decent amounts of snow as well before it finally folds into the main system. Boy, there's at least two storms going to all come together out west. You can kind of see some more energy back behind that southern one. I'm only showing two on the map, but that's going to be a big weather maker out west. In between, high pressure dominating for 2 or 3 days here, so not bad weather at all. By later today, you can see the snow tapering off in the Ohio Valley, still some lingering in the southern and central Appalachians, and the heavy stuff with the main area of low pressure moving through the big cities of the Northeast. Next system, again, double barrel system coming in out west with lots of rain and mountain snows in many parts of that area. Obviously, California going back into a drought after the La Nina winter. Going to get some moisture out of this, which is some good news. There's the snow by tomorrow morning still in eastern New England, high pressure from the Great Lakes all the way down into the Gulf. And you can see as we head into the afternoon hours tomorrow, warm front starts to set up in the central plains. Still lots of moisture coming in with this system and a lot of energy feeding into the west coast even later in the day tomorrow. Precipitation estimate past 24 hours. Most of it has been in California, but also mid-Atlantic states down into Florida where there was some severe weather. That will that's already moved south of Florida though, so we don't have to worry about it again today. We'll add a little bit more in the east. Most of that's going to be in the form of snow. We're going to add a whole bunch out west. Look at some of the amounts there. That's like when you melt down the snow, that's going to be a foot of rain in places in the central Sierra Nevadas, and even the Los Angeles area expected to get some pretty heavy amounts of rain. There's the snowfall past 24 hours, most of it Indiana, Ohio into the northeast, and the heaviest is definitely going to be in the southeast of the Appalachians all the way up into the southern and eastern portions of New England by the time this storm is done, and a lot of the higher elevations out west getting the snow as well. High temperatures today, 70s in Texas. Elsewhere, it's mainly on the chilly side, lots of 30s, northern plains into the northeast and Ohio Valley. Lows tonight, a whole bunch of 20s and 30s through the middle of the country, and highs tomorrow afternoon, kind of more of the same, starting to warm up even a little bit more around the Rio Grande in Texas. Now, as far as the jet stream is concerned, there's that big storm moving northeast. Big ridge then tries to form, but boy, the next storm systems just keep kind of cutting into it. It's interesting, though, the pattern may be changing as we head into the middle of next week. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We head to Sacramento, California. First of all, cool with times of rain, high of 65. Kansas City, Missouri, partly sunny, rather comfortable today, high 57. In Columbia, South Carolina, periods of rain and cooler, high of only 56 degrees.
When we come back, it's nearly fresh peach season, at least for growers in Florida. We'll have details on the Packer TV. And maybe it's not a big deal in your house, but do you struggle finding just the right cheese for a special event? Well, there's help for that. Details in just a few minutes.
AgDay, brought to you by new Delaro fungicide for corn and soybeans. Achieve personal best yields.
On the Packer TV, southern peaches are getting closer to harvest, while up north, growers continue to wait on blooms. In Florida, peach growers anticipate a strong crop this spring. According to the Packer, peaches have seen their recommended chill hours and quality is looking good. Cool weather has delayed harvest some, but some limited shipping may start next week. The heart of harvest for Florida comes during the last 2 weeks of April and the first week of May. In my world, with the privilege of hosting this television show, every day is Ag Day. The same holds true for America's farmers and ranchers. But for everybody else, Ag Day with a space comes once a year. Vice President Mike Pence helping celebrate National Agricultural Day yesterday at USDA. This is the 45th anniversary of National Ag Day. It was created by the Agricultural Council of America to recognize and celebrate the abundance of food, fuel, and fiber produced by you.
To all of you who work in agriculture, whose labor and life's work can be found in the food that we eat, so much more in the character of the nation, just thank you on this National Ag Day. To all of you who support our farmers, our producers, our ranchers, our foresters, through the work done in this department and through private organizations so well represented here today, thank you for what you do every day.
The Vice President also encouraged young people to get involved in this noble profession and taking liberties with a line from President Trump to make America grow again. When we come back, helping you select just the right variety of cheese for your party in the country. Next.
AgDay, brought to you by Prosaro fungicide from Bayer. In the country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit KubotaUSA.com today.
Many of us enjoy cheese, heck, some even love it. But how certain are you when it comes to selecting the right cheese for a certain event? That's where a cheesemonger comes into play. In this video provided by the Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board, meet a Wisconsin cheesemonger who's teaching cheese lovers how to create their own impressive displays.
Liz Dooland has worked with Wisconsin Artisan Cheese for several years at Metro Market in Madison and is now sharing her knowledge and excitement for those products at private events.
I'm trying to create a new wave of cheesemongering, and that's private cheesemongering, where I go into people's houses and help them create boards, where I teach classes that help them understand what pairs well with artisan cheese.
By holding intimate, hands-on classes, Dooland is able to share the rich stories behind each featured cheese.
I think that when a customer hears the unique story and the uniqueness of the cheese that you're offering them to sample and ultimately buy, they connect with that because they want to belong. And they also want to support Wisconsin products, and they also want to support burgeoning cheesemakers.
Focusing on Wisconsin specialty cheeses, Dooland hopes to enlighten people about all the different varieties of award-winning cheeses available.
And they also want to support Wisconsin products, and they also want to support burgeoning cheesemakers.
In each class, attendees learn how to artfully display the cheeses, as well as taste the different flavor components of the cheese so they can appreciate its uniqueness and pair it with complementary foods.
Once they have it in their mouth, and then I explain both its flavors, how it's crafted, the person who crafted it. It is an experience that they appreciate. And really, the cheese speaks for itself.
And that's Wisconsin Dairy News.
By the way, Liz is also writing a book and creating prints and note cards that highlight Wisconsin specialty cheeses. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spent part of your day with us. For Mike Hoffman and all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day in farm country.
AgDay, brought to you by Ram Commercial, America's longest lasting heavy-duty pickups.